Welcome to this webinar, Earn Free Media Coverage and Build Buzz Without Hiring a PR Firm. Now, this seat in between John Bates and me is the seat that we're holding for you. Think of it not as a literal seat. I want you to think of it as your seat at the table, whether it is your seat for earned media coverage featuring you for your expertise, or your seat on stage as a paid speaker, or your seat as an author, your seat as a motivator, a thought leader. That seat is waiting for you and people just like you. We're trying to help you make sure that you get the visibility you deserve. If you don't grab that seat, someone else is going to grab that seat for you. So I want you to meet your coaches, Mark Albert, John Bates. John will join us in a second. And let me tell you a little bit about me. And hopefully, this will help you connect with what we're about to teach you today on this webinar. So, I want you to imagine for 1 minute that I'm sitting on a bed right now. Okay, I'm sitting on this bed, and I'm not really sitting upright like this. I'm more like this with my head in my hands. You see, this bed is not mine. This room is not mine. This apartment is not mine. And this isn't my permanent address. You know why I know that? Because I gave all of that away. And most of my best friends told me I was crazy, absolutely crazy for doing that. Hi, John. I was just explaining exactly my origin story. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Mark. And I did something that no professional should do. I made a massive calendaring mistake when I looked at my calendar today. And so I am going to be in a much better place in about 5 minutes. But if you just tell me where we are, and I would be happy to jump in. I know what I need to do, and I'm just dressed a little more casually than I meant to be.
Yeah, John is a professional. I was just telling them about my origin story. We were just starting off with Meet Your Coaches, and I was painting the picture that I'm sitting on this bed here, right? And this apartment is not mine, and this isn't my permanent address because I gave this all away. This is a true story. And most of my best friends told me, you're making a mistake. See, what happened is a year prior to this, in 2012, I was an investigative reporter in Minneapolis. And I had been there for 7 years. I was fat and happy, super comfortable. I knew everyone. I broke stories. And the thing is, though, that when you're in journalism school, the holy grail is that you want to work for a network. And for me, that was CBS News. I'd always wanted to work for CBS News, but they weren't calling me. And so I used my investigative skills. I'm like, okay, how do I get their attention? And I finally got their attention and I got a job interview. And not one round, not 2 rounds, not 3 rounds, not 4 rounds, 5 rounds of a job interview. Can you imagine? I met with the CBS News president, the director of talent, the head of the DC bureau chief, all of that. And then I was down to the final two. And then I was the first loser. Womp womp. I know. And so I tucked my tail between my legs and I went back to Minneapolis. Now remember, I had it pretty good. This is me in Minneapolis. Right up here, top left corner, me embedded in Iraq with troops. Center, me in Pakistan. Me in Kenya. Me covering the last shuttle launch in for NASA in Florida. And I thought to myself, they don't know what they're missing. I'm going to do everything I can, make it my mission to end up there at CBS News. I knew that I belonged. And so what did I do when my contract came up? I put everything on the line. I quit my job, gave up my health insurance, got rid of my apartment, put everything in storage, and I moved to Washington, D.C. No job, no place to live, crashing on someone else's bed. And then I thought, all right, I got to do it again. And so I would find out where those people who interviewed me were going to be at philanthropy events, conferences, and I would coincidentally show up. And I would say, Allison, how great to see you again. How are the kids? Hey, by the way, I live in DC now if you need anything. Well, after about the third time, they told me that I could stop doing that. And then they invited me to see the bureau chief. And I thought, well, one of two things is going to happen. Either CBS News is going to realize they made the biggest mistake of their life and hire me on the spot, or they're going to serve a cease and desist order for stalking, right? And he said the words that changed my life that day in his office on a Monday. He said to me, "Hey, we're shorthanded on Monday. Can you fill in on the CBS Evening News this weekend?" "Oh, I don't know. Let me check my schedule." "Yes, I can." Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, my first ever national live shot for CBS News. This was Saturday, March 8th, 2014. Do you notice two things? One, no gray hair. And number two, I look scared as beep. Well, that turned into me going all over the world, interviewing Bill Gates, going to Peru, Australia, Taiwan. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because each one of you know what I'm talking about. Each one of you have been knocked down. Each one of you have had a dream. Each one of you had get back up and get back in the game. You all know about resilience. And what we're teaching you tonight in this webinar is that you have it in you. You have the resilience in you to get that visibility you deserve. John, are you with us?
Mark, I am. I'm just getting to my desk, and then I will be with you. I am so sorry.
Oh, Carolyn says,
This
no, that's okay, John. Carolyn says, what a cool story. And it is a cool story, but it comes with that lens that everybody can do this. And so I spent 25 years in newsrooms around the country. And I'll tell you this, in every single newsroom I was in, there was the same problem. We never had enough experts. Now, this is going to blow your mind, right? You're the news, call anybody. But have you ever wondered why you see the same doctor on Good Morning America, no matter the illness? Why you see, for example, the same lawyer opining about the latest Supreme Court decision, whether it's about immigration law or water rights in the West? It's because journalists don't have enough experts. And so when you get a really good expert, you want to hold on to them and call them over and over again. Now, that's great when the reporter's on deadline and they've got to get a story for today and they need a soundbite. But unfortunately, it's bad for the audience. And so what John and I are doing is trying to convince as many experts as we can that journalists need them because they do. The people who are featured over and over again in the news and on stages, they do one of three things very, very well. First, they answer the phone. Second, they make themselves available. And the third thing they do, which is the most important, is they are a sound bite machine, a sound bite machine. We want to train all of you to do that. And my partner in crime here, John Bates, is going to tell you his origin story. You heard mine, my story of resilience. And John has a great story as well. And really about, John, what you like to say, the soft skills.
That's right, Mark. I was always the guy with the soft skills, and I always worked with a lot of people who had the hard skills, and I was always jealous of them. And you could go to the next slide because that's the guy I was jealous of, right? The hard skills people. And so I worked as a technology evangelist. I was always a founder, a co-founder, or an early stage employee at .com companies starting in 1994. I raised several $100 million in Silicon Valley and beyond. But I would go around trying to prove I was valuable while I secretly felt like I wasn't valuable, and it was just awkward. In fact, the people with the hard skills, Mark, would say, "Oh yeah, John, he does the fluffy stuff," right? Like the people I was essentially paying. But anyway, so then in 2009, I went to the TED conference for the first time and saw person after person give the most unbelievable talks I'd ever heard. And so the first thing about that moment was that I realized, oh my gosh, that's powerful. That kind of public speaking is really genuinely powerful. Call it fluffy if you will. And for the first time in my life, I had a sense that I brought something that might actually have some value. And then in that very same instant, Mark, I realized, oh my gosh, I have been going around acting like I am such a great speaker because I am always the best speaker or one of the best speakers at these conferences that I fly all over the world to speak at. But they were tech conferences. I was the best of the worst. And so I decided it was time for me to start closing that gap. I became very aware of where I was and where I could be. And so I came back, got really involved in TED and TEDx at one of the first ever TEDx events. We had this guy, I was volunteering for my friends. We had this guy who had all the hard skills in the world, had the most exciting topic. And when he got up on stage and started to speak, everybody in this gigantic auditorium just checked out because he was so nervous and awkward. We all thought we were going to throw up for him. And it was really sad. At first, I was just genuinely very sad. And then the I got mad because I thought about what that must have cost my companies to have people like that. And we did have plenty of people, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant experts, but they weren't great communicators. And then the evil part of me popped out, and I sat in the back of the room going, hard skills guys blowing it, calls what I do fluffy, neener, neener, neener. And as I was doing that, my friend came over and he said, dude, we got to do something to help people like this. And that was the moment my life completely changed because I realized, oh my gosh, if I just got over myself, I could make a difference. So I went home that night, started working on what I now get to do all over the world. And I did something different that made that happen that I don't know if I would have figured out any other way. I decided I needed to base everything I could in human evolutionary biology and human neurophysiology so I could show people not only what works, but also why it works based in science. And that just changed everything. That opened the door to places like the top levels of Johnson and Johnson, training thousands of people at NASA, training all the active astronauts. And it's because when you base things in science, they work. I didn't think about that part. So, that was how I came to be doing what I'm doing. And then once I started working on that, the TEDx organizers of Southern California said, John, will you come train all our speakers? We don't ever want that to happen again. So I got to start training all the TEDx speakers in Southern California, and that pulled me into places like Johnson and Johnson, and then on to NASA and to Boston Scientific and to Accenture. And that's how this whole thing happened. And Mark, you showed that picture. I actually have gotten a chance to speak at TED 3 times on side stages, always on a side stage. The first time I blew it so bad, you can Google John Bates TED fail. I'm the first result, but they invited me back. And I've spoken at about 7 different TEDx events, and I've coached for 35 plus TEDx events and for events like the General Electric Aerospace Global Customer Summit and those kinds of organizations, customer summits and things like that. So that's how all this happened. And here's the thing. Tonight, today, right now, like in just a minute, I really want to give everybody, Mark, have them take away one of the most important pieces of the neurobiology of influence, one of the most important things that I ever teach anyone that I ever work with. We want to have people take that away from this today so they for sure at least get one big thing of value from me for sure, although we got a whole bunch more coming, right?
So here we go. We want everyone, if you've got a notepad, if you've got your phone, we're going to dive in. Now, this is unlike any webinar you've ever been to. We are not going to just give you a bunch of boring facts about PR and about getting paid speaking gigs. We're going to give you a superpower. This is literally what no one else is doing. They should be doing it. And it's all about making the emotional connection. We did not start this webinar with stats and facts. We started it with my origin story and John's origin story so that you would know about us, make a connection with us, and then your brain is already predisposed to listen to what we have to say next. So John is going to give you science-based principles. We're going to show you where to go to connect with reporters. We're going to give you a roadmap of how to pitch them, and we're going to give you more resources. It is going to be fast. We're moving fast. Get a pen, write this down. This is unlike any webinar you've ever been to before. Are you ready? Are we
I'm
ready? John, are
ready.
you ready?
I'm
All right.
ready.
So when you reach out to a reporter, when you reach out to somebody who's going to book you for a speaking gig, when you reach out to an investor or a client or a colleague, do not start the way everyone else does. Instead, remember that human beings love storytelling. John, tell us about this superpower?
Okay, so it starts like this. Communicating with human beings is not logical. You may have noticed it's not logical, it's biological. And here's what I mean. If you look at the human brain, and actually let's flip it over and look up from the bottom, this is a cross section of the human brain. And if you see right in the middle, you see the brain stem, then wrapped around that is the midbrain, and then wrapped around all of that is the cerebral cortex. And that is really important when it comes to the neurobiology of communicating with human beings. Here's why. The ancient this brainstem and the midbrain forms the paleomammalian brain, and that part of our brain does not have access to language or logic or reason. That's all in the neocortex. Now, paleomammalian, that's old. Neo, that means new. The new brain wrapped around the outside of the old brain. Now, I'm going to say something kind of weird. I'll say it twice. The ancient paleomammalian brain does not have access to language or logic or reason, but it does have access to reality on a fundamentally deeper level than we will ever have access consciously. I'll say it again. The ancient paleomammalian brain does not have access to language, logic, reason. That's in the neocortex, but it does have access to reality on a much deeper level than we will ever have consciously. And here's what I mean by that. This is the part of the brain, that ancient paleomammalian brain, that smells pheromones and it sees facial microexpressions and it notices all of that completely unconscious body language that we're sending back and forth all the time. It sees things, hears things, smells things, notices patterns in things that we'll just never, ever be consciously aware of. But it notices those things, but it can't tell us about it because it doesn't have language. So the way that the paleomammalian brain communicates with us is not through language, it's through gut feelings. So if your mom didn't tell you, I'm telling you now, trust your gut. That's good information. But we all think that we are logical. So, I talk to a lot of people, experts in their field, right? And they are very logical people. They're like, John, I know about all that stuff, but I weigh things out. I check the boxes. I make logical choices. Okay, you may do that, check things out, weigh things out. But ultimately, if we put you in an fMRI machine and watched your brain in real time as you made a choice or a decision, what we would see is, boom, your paleomammalian brain fires first, making the decision. And then right after that, the neocortex, the cerebral cortex fires, agreeing with or disagreeing with the decision, but not making the decision. So why does that matter? Okay, that's all really cool, John. That's exciting. You're a super geek. Why do I care? Okay, here's why it matters. This is why it matters in the newsroom. This matters why it matters on stages. This is why it matters in one-on-one meetings everywhere. This is why. You tell me if you've ever or if you've never had an experience like this. Just put in your own variables. Do you like the product? Oh, yeah, we like the product. Yes, it's a very, very good product. Do you think it's priced right? Oh, certainly, yes. Yeah, good price. Well, do you think it would make a difference for you to have it? Oh, certainly, yes. Yes, yes. Well, do you want to sign the check and we'll start delivery? No, no, we're not quite ready yet. We want to wait a little while. We're still figuring it out. Okay, what happened? Right? People get very angry when that happens. They come back from that meeting and they're upset. Okay, here's what happened. No, they weren't lying to you. Here's what happened. Yes, 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 no. Logic, 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 emotion. We did not make an emotional connection that was strong enough that they could give us what I call the fourth and most important yes. So when you meet people, you've got to make an emotional connection. I don't mean we've got to hold hands and cry and sing kumbaya. I mean, logic is necessary. You've got to have the logic. You got to have the business plan. You got to have the product that works, but logic is not sufficient. You've got to make an emotional connection. And if you think of it, communication seems like the transfer of information, but really at the highest levels, at the most effective levels, communication is also the transfer of emotion. And it doesn't have to be holding hands, crying, singing kumbaya. It just needs to be, how can we connect? How can we be in the same tribe? And it's too long to go into here, but we have an exercise about finding your origin story and then crafting it and delivering it well. And that is one of the most excellent ways to connect with people emotionally that either of us has ever found in our, at this point, long careers. So that's one of the things that we will work with you on when you join us, if you want to join us, is getting that origin story dialed and working for you. Now, here's a short, another secret, right? Just so you don't think that we're holding this away and not giving you anything. Small talk is not small talk. Small talk is big talk when you do it right. Make sure you talk about something that connects you versus just talking about the weather without any connection. Good?
John, this is actually the first time that we've done this on a webinar where we have people quoting you in the chat. I love this. Pasha pulled out communication is the transfer of emotion. Absolutely. Shanta, logic is not sufficient. That was good. You explained it really well. This is why I was in newsrooms for 25 years. Do you know how many pitches I received in 25 years? Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't even know. And 99% never met John Bates because they failed. They never made an emotional connection. They pitched me on the top 10 sunscreens for summer. They pitched me on things that I don't care about. When you are trying to get a paid speaking gig, when you are trying to pitch a journalist, when you are trying to get on a podcast, when you're trying to close the deal with an investor, a client, relating to your colleagues or employees, you must make an emotional connection. Otherwise, it's yes, 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 no, just
That's
like
right.
John said. Yep. And Andy, stories sell, facts tell. I love that. Stories sell, facts tell. Absolutely. And so now you have this superpower. Okay. So when it's talking about getting buzz, getting media attention, it's not just about the pitch. We're going to tell you about the pitch. We're going to give you a resource for the pitch. But number one, most important, whoever you're talking to, whether PR or not, you must make an emotional connection. Going out for a job, trying to close a deal, trying to get a paid speaking gig, trying to land in the media. Emotional connection. This is where 99% of people fail. But you are on this webinar and now you're part of the 1%. All right. Now you've got your emotional connection, right? You get somebody to bite. Now they're going to ask you questions, whether it's in an interview, whether it's a panel, whether it's an audience Q&A. So we need to talk about the anatomy of an answer, the anatomy of an answer, the blueprint, the architecture to answer any question anytime. This could be on 60 Minutes or your local newspaper, could be the booker for a speaking gig that you really want, and they're going to ask why you should get it. Could be for that investor, could be for that employee. What John and I do is holistic communications. We're not just about the media, we're not just about the paid speaking gig. Holistic communications throughout your life. Are you ready? Now write this down. This is going to change the way you communicate. John just taught you how to make an emotional connection, which you've probably never heard. If you have heard it, congratulations, you're like Einstein. Now we're going to give you anatomy of an answer, how to answer those questions that come your way. All right, get those pens, get those iPhones. Are you ready? Here we go.
And
And
Mark,
yeah,
one thing before we do this, do not let the simplicity of this mask how powerful it is, right? It's like it takes work to make something this important, this simple. Don't overlook it just because it's simple. It's so powerful.
the best CEOs do this. Here we go. Anatomy and answer. Number one, you're going to start every answer with a strong quote first. 10 or 15 seconds. Think of it as a soundbite. Pithy, declarative, memorable. Pithy, declarative, memorable. What you're not going to do is start at the beginning. You're not going to give me exposition. You're not going to give me background. You're not going to give me context. The first sentence out of your mouth when someone asks you a question, whether it's a journalist or someone else, Strong quote first, declarative, pithy, memorable. Then 3 to 5 sentences backing it up. This is where your data comes in, your evidence, your context, your background, your exposition. All right. 3 to 5 sentences in the middle of the sandwich, backing it up. And then you are going to close out your answer with a pithy summary of what you just said. So if you can imagine that sandwich, soundbite in the beginning, soundbite at the end, your context and analysis in the middle. This is if your mom asks you how your day was. This is if a journalist asks you for an interview. It's if you're on stage and an audience member walks up to that microphone to ask you a question. I'm going to show you a CEO doing this. But first, let me give you an example. All right. So strong quote first, 3 to 5 sentences backing it up, pithy summary. John, why don't you ask me about a topic today?
So Mark, like, do you think that being a good communicator in the age of AI still matters?
Communication is not logical, it's biological, and AI will never replicate that. Now, we're seeing LLMs and these models, these large language models, they are hoovering up all this data. They are learning to communicate at a faster speed than humankind ever did. But all the statistics show 90% of LLMs are actually not citing themselves, they're citing human interviews, earned media interviews. And that's why AI is good at communicating, but humans will always be better at storytelling because communication is not logical, it's biological. Okay,
Oh,
now
that was good. We did not rehearse that, by the way. That was a made up on the spot one.
that was a made up on the spot. We didn't rehearse it, but I'm not saying it's perfect, and I just made it up. But do you see what I did? Strong quote first, 3 to 5 sentences backing it up, strong sense to close. Oh, Carolyn, Shanta, you're too kind. Shanta,
Thank
oh
you.
my gosh, John, she says these guys are impressive. So thank you so much. You're impressive for being here. Now, I'm going to play you this interview with a CEO of American Airlines. This was on CNBC. And I want you to listen very, very carefully to the question he's asked and the structure of how he answers it. Here we go. Take notes. Here we go.
Welcome back to Squawk Box, everybody. We want to get over to Phil LeBeau. He is joining us with a special guest this morning. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Becky. Robert Isom, CEO of American Airlines. You posted your results for the first quarter. A smaller than expected loss, but a loss nonetheless for the first quarter, pulling guidance. What are you seeing right now in the market?
Well, Phil, thanks for being here. Uncertainty is the word of the day, and we see that in our business. We came off a strong fourth quarter, saw decent business in January, and really domestic leisure travel fell off considerably as we went into the February timeframe. Now, no matter the environment, Americans well positioned. Whether there's uncertainty or there's a quick rebound, I feel good about where we stand.
All right. Did we hear that? Did we hear anatomy of an answer? So put it in the chat. So number one, oh, Andy wants us to repeat it. Yes, absolutely. We're going to play it again. And I want you to listen here to the question and then specifically the architecture. Here we go. We'll play it again. Andy, this is for you.
Hi, Becky. Robert Isom, CEO of American Airlines. You posted your results for the first quarter. A smaller than expected loss, but a loss nonetheless for the first quarter, pulling guidance. What are you seeing right now in the market?
Well, Phil, thanks for being here. Uncertainty is the word of the day, and we see that in our business. We came off a strong fourth quarter, saw decent business in January, and really domestic leisure travel fell off considerably as we went into the February timeframe. Now, no matter the environment, Americans well positioned. Whether there's uncertainty or there's a quick rebound, I feel good about where we stand.
Welcome back to.
Okay. So, did we notice exactly what he did? Pasha, thanks again for the quote. He, right off the top, it was that pithy quote, that pithy summary. Then the data, right? Yeah, he acknowledged things are down. Things are not great. They're kind of in the crapper. He cited the data, cited the evidence. And then what did he do? He pivoted at the end to something positive, to a summary of how Americans going to do it. Yep, Josephine, he referenced the uncertainty once again, the callback, and then pivoted again. Shanta says it beautifully, John. He
Yep.
closed with what he wants you to believe.
Yes.
That
Bingo.
Exactly. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the anatomy of an answer. I'm going to put this architecture up again, write this down. Strong quote first, 3 to 5 sentences backing it up, and the pithy summary at the end. This is how you answer every question when you're interviewed by a journalist. This is how you answer audience questions, your boss, your investor, your clients. Again, we're not just teaching you PR, we're teaching you holistic communications. That's what the title is. Make yourself quotable. Make yourself quotable. Getting free coverage without a PR firm, getting those paid speaking gigs. Now, John, we've given people your brilliant advice on making that emotional connection based in science.
It's
We've now
important.
It's important. We've now given people anatomy of an answer, how
Yes.
to make the blueprint in the architecture.
Yep.
Why don't we tell them where they can interact with journalists? Do you think we should do that?
I think so. I think so. Though now you've gotten that you need to make an emotional connection. Now you've gotten the anatomy of an answer. Now you're going to get how to find those journalists and start interacting.
So there are websites where journalists go to find experts just like you, just like you. One of them is sourceofsources.com, sourceofsources.com. Now, we do not get paid by this website. I don't know Peter Shankman, who runs the website, but we teach all of our clients how to use this. The clients who come to our in-person boot camp, our online course, our non-traditional PR service, all of them, we give them this. It's so simple. You click the website, you go on, you put your name, your email, boom, and there you go. Twice a day, Andy knows, twice a day, you get emails. Now, for those of you on the West Coast, apologies. They come through 5:30, 6:30 a.m. Eastern. They come through 1:30, 2:30 p.m. Eastern as well. And look at this one, for example, queries from USA Today, Women's Health, Business Insider. Would you like to be quoted in Business Insider? I think so. Would you like to be quoted in USA Today? Absolutely. I still get the print edition of USA Today. These emails are directly from reporters. Now, two rules here. If you sign up for sourceofsources.com and you see a story in your industry, your niche, that you want to pitch, number one, speed is vital. Do you know how many people are on these lists? When a journalist gets 2 or 3 people that fit the bill of what they need, they're going to stop looking at responses. So when you get them, again, apologies to those of you on the West Coast, you need to respond immediately. The second rule is never to respond to something different than the reporter is asking for. So if the reporter is asking for one thing, you can't pitch another. So pitch them on exactly what they're asking for. Be short. We give our clients a template. You just fill in the blanks and you submit it. But these websites exist for experts just like you. Now, in the chat, I told Andy and I have met briefly virtually. I'm a big supporter of the expo he's putting on in Orange County, California. He has started using this website. He says in the chat, write this down, people. It's awesome. I'm using them now. This is just free value we're giving you because, like I said in the beginning, journalists don't have enough experts. They need you every single day in America. In every newsroom in America, journalists are looking for experts. And you know what's happening at the same time, John?
I do.
Every day in America, in every community in America, experts are looking for journalists. We bring the two together. Carolyn says, so valuable. Absolutely. Thank you. So, sourceofsources.com, that's where you can find journalists. Now, you find a journalist, you find the story you want to pitch, and you're like, but wait a minute, Mark and John, they didn't tell me how to pitch. Well,
Let's do that.
let's do that. Here you go. It's our ultimate media pitch checklist. You follow these 5 steps. It's all on one page. And this is how you will structure every single pitch to the journalist. Make the emotional connection, follow these 5 steps, and submit this. Now, let's be honest. Is it going to work 100% of the time? Nothing works 100% of the time. But this is what journalists, like I was for 25 years, including at CBS News as a correspondent and leading a national investigative unit for Hearst for 5 years, this is what we're looking for. Make sure you have the QR code before I take down the screen. This is our ultimate media pitch checklist.
And Mark, this is what has our clients come back to us. Like people who, we've had a number of clients that are people I've known for years, and they're like, okay, John, I'm trusting you, and they come take our course. And then we hear things from them like Dr. Paul said, I had no idea how easy this would be. And he got a television news segment, which also, to their great joy, featured his clients, the people he was there speaking for, who were very happy to be part of that news article and get that program and get that visibility. So this has people say to us, I had no idea it would be this easy.
And we're not done yet, John.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to take your questions, so get your questions ready as well. So this is the ultimate media pitch checklist. So now we've told you how to make an emotional connection. We've told you the anatomy of an answer. We've told you how to find journalists and the stories that they're working on. And now we've given you the ultimate media pitch checklist. This is like Thanksgiving in July. Now we want to offer you help if you need it. There are no strings attached. John, me, Nick, our head of strategy, we are opening up our calendar to you, and we'll put this link in the chat as well. If you want 15 minutes, no strings attached, strategic consulting, you want some advice, we want to give you that advice. We would be honored to meet with each and every one of you on this call. Just go ahead, scan the QR code, and find a time to meet on our calendar. This is an opportunity to have, as Nick says, the best chat you'll have all week. The best chat you'll have all week. We will put it together for you. If you are struggling to figure out what expertise you should be pitching, if you're struggling to figure out where you should pitch it, if you're frustrated because you see other people in your industry being quoted and you wonder, why in the world are journalists not pitching me, not calling me, not offering me that opportunity? Then we want to talk to you. Andy says, oh, look at my goodness. Nick says best chat you'll have all week. Andy says best chat you'll have all month. Love that, Andy. Absolutely love that. Please scan that QR code.
Hey,
now,
and
John,
Mark, we revamped our online, this thing because we really want to make absolutely sure that everybody who comes gets value. This has been really valuable stuff. And I think that it's really, really important to not underestimate how valuable it is just because you got it for free. And it seems sort of simple now in hindsight. The other thing that I think would be really valuable to say, which is hard for me because I'm a, craft beer surfer dude, wants to just relax and not get in anybody's face or talk about anything difficult. But Mark, I have seen so many people go out on a stage or get onto a TV interview or show up in some high stakes communication event and freaking blow it because they didn't prepare well and they didn't get any help or any coaching. And that used to not be as much of a problem until we had instantaneous all over the world social media. Everybody sees good, bad, or ugly. And so, do some preparation, look at these things, check this stuff out, run your soundbite past a friend or something. Go do this, but go do this well.
Okay, in 4 minutes, we're going to take your questions in 4 minutes. I want to play another video for you. John, can you tell us, we love questions, right? I mean, because that's how I personally learn. And so, of course, we make sure that at our events and our online course, we have a time for questions. And, we do this thing called a fireside chat. And they can ask whatever they want. They can throw.
The whole point is come ask us questions, right? We're done with the live event now with the main portion of it. And it's the evening and everybody's ready to go to dinner, but we got a few minutes before that happens. So, hey, let's sit down, have a fireside chat. Ask us anything. Let's just talk about, debrief what you did, whatever. Right. And that's what we do at the end of each of these live events.
Our multi-day boot camps. That's right.
Yes.
And people can ask us anything they want. And we just wanted to show you what they said at one of our recent boot camps. Again, they can say anything. They can throw oranges. They can throw tomatoes. They can do whatever they want. And when you listen to this video, it's less than 2 minutes. John and I want you to think, what experience would you have to be a part of to say these things?
But I remember you specifically saying, both of you, we're not going to let you fail. And so I said, okay, I'm in good hands. You took the time to make us feel comfortable. You took the time to make us do it the best way possible.
I remember when you did this the first time, I said, please do a second one.
You made it worth every single solitary penny. You brought it home.
What I love and notice is the perfection of diversity in your room, just like it was months ago when you did the first one. The fact that there are people from all over the world, not just all over the country. Yeah, you attract the best. You know why? Because you are the best.
It's relit the spark in me that I had lost. And I'm very, very appreciative because now I have this hunger in me to just want to get out and speak to anyone who will listen.
Everyone who interacted with us here has been simply amazing and generous. Yes. Like truly, truly generous with who you are and what you have to offer to us.
Just the way you're able to put somebody at ease to come into that room, that was amazing.
This whole experience, trying not to cry, I've made so many human connections, and I'm so very grateful. I can't really tell you how much you have changed my life in this past couple of days.
Thank you so much for seeing us and for really bringing out the best in us.
That is transformation.
So not the questions we expected, right, Mark?
But this went on for we were so honored, John.
It was wonderful. And it's why we do what we do. And by the way, the woman with the Australian accent was just a couple months ago on the Australian Today Show, like the whole country Today Show. And so that fire that she said we lit in her has been burning bright. And that's just one of many, many, many stories. But again, I like your question, Mark. You know, what would it be like if you were at an event and that's what you felt compelled to say during the question and answer, you know?
They don't say that it was a good time, John. They said that I can't begin to explain how you've changed my life in 3 days. That's why we do what we do, right?
Yeah, it is why we do what we do.
Yeah. So we'd love to take your question. It's not easy, right? We'd love to take your questions. So if you want to put them in the chat, we'd love to answer any questions you may have in our remaining time here, 10 more minutes. You all have been so kind to sit with us for 50 minutes so far here on a Wednesday evening. We're really honored that you're here. And we would love to take your questions for the next 10 minutes. And John, yes. I'm also thinking of Mandy Morris. So Mandy came to us 5 days before our boot camp. And she said, you know, I just can't go on camera. I want to get quoted in the media. I want to be on these big stages. I want a TEDx talk, but I just can't get on camera. And we said, we're not going to let you fail. And she came and she just absolutely smashed it at our boot camp. And then, thanks to you, John, you helped her get this TEDx talk. And she just got, 400,000 views in 90 days. That never happened.
Yeah. I mean, in less than a month and a half or something, she was already at 250,000. And then 20 days later, she was at 400,000 and it's still ticking up. And that was with no paid help. She didn't have people clicking on it it's because it was such a freaking great talk. And Mark, because she had used what we taught her to go get on CBC in Canada a couple times. And then she'd been in Newsweek and she'd been in wherever else she was. I lost track of all the places she went. And then she really put her heart and soul into that TEDx talk. And it was so good. It went viral, which is the best way to go viral.
All right, so we've got a question from Andy. We got a question from Nick. Nick, go please.
So technology apparently is not our friend today. Calendly has a little bit of a buffer time. So if anyone does want to meet after this, I do have availability for 10 or 15 minutes. Just giving everyone a heads up. You can send me a private message with your number and I'll give you a call. Thanks.
That's Nick, former elementary school teacher, now turned TEDx speaker, our head of strategy. He's amazing. And so what he's talking about the buffer is that Calendly, doesn't let you book within a certain amount of time. But if you want to grab his spot this evening, thankfully he's not in the East Coast time. He's in the central part of the country. Then go ahead and just tell him in the chat. All right, Andy, question: what would be the best? Oh, Andy, you say it. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can. I think Andy's unmuted.
Andy off mute.
Are we good?
Yeah, you're good. Go for it, sir.
Fantastic. Hey, guys, real pleasure to be here. Thank you for again, Mark. Really, real honor to be here again. But simply, what is, because of the expo thing that I'm running out here and across the country here very, very soon, what's the best strategy to bring in local newspapers, journalists, news companies in a way that I don't sound needy or some type of, hey, be a part of a launch, that sort of thing?
Yeah, great question. And so we actually cover this with a template that we give our clients who come to our multi-day boot camp or our online course. And it's simply this. We have talked so far about how to find a journalist and help them with the story they're already working on. You're talking about how to pitch them a story they don't know about, which in your case is the expo that you'll be running in Orange County in September and in November. And so in that case, you have to find a newsworthy hook. I remember in our call, Andy, I had mentioned, can you do a survey? Can you do a poll of business owners in Southern California or Orange County? You time the release for your expo, and then you release the results on an embargoed basis. Embargo means you're giving them to someone, and they must hold them for a certain amount of time. You give the journalists the results. They got a day or two to write their story, and then they can release it at a certain date and time. You've got to generate buzz. You've got to create a newsworthy moment. We did a national webinar today for one of my clients, and we commissioned a poll, a nationwide poll and survey, so that we would have results to release today as a hook to draw journalists in. So I hope that helps you. Nick mentioning timely, relevancy, and urgency. Absolutely.
And think about what you have access to that is not easily accessible, right? Like Andy can go to all the people that are part of this, ask them some questions about business in the area. And now that becomes that's catnip for local news because they can't go do that as easily. They don't have an easy mechanism to do that. So as an expert, like, Dr. Gigi and Grant and Josephine and, you on this call, like you've got an expertise and that gives you access to things that the rest of us can't access so easily. And it's really interesting. And when you go to a reporter with things like that versus saying, hey, will you write about me or write about my brand or, hey, check out my product. Don't do that. Go to them and say, look what I have. I have some catnip. It's a, survey I just did with like the 20 top business leaders within 50 miles. Do you want to see what they're saying about business? Oh yeah, I do.
Let me give some tough love to everybody in this room. All right. This is tough love, but you have to hear it.
But love, it is love.
It is love, and it could be tough. When you reach out to a journalist, never pitch your company, your product, or your brand. Your company, your product, your brand. Now, John, we don't have a sound effect queued up, but if we did, it would be the record scratch.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone on the call is like, okay, we sat through 55 minutes and he's lost it. What the heck is he talking about? If I can't pitch my company, my product, or my brand, how in the world am I going to get coverage for my company, my product, or my brand? That's what 99% of people do. Don't be the 99%. As the journalist, they want you to pitch your expertise. Your expertise. So if you're a brain surgeon and somebody really famous gets brain cancer, you're offering your expertise about how that cancer is treated. If you run business events like Andy does, then you've got to pitch your expertise in that niche for that type of story. And so when you reach out to a journalist, to Andy's point, do not pitch your company, your product, or your brand. You've got to give them the catnip John was talking about. You have to give them something newsworthy. If this stumps you, then use the link that we have there in the chat and the QR code and schedule a time with either John, me, or Nick. It's a round robin. You get one of us, and we will help you figure out what that expertise is that you should be pitching. Pasha
Now,
says, John, pitch the paleo mammalian brain.
yeah, yeah, there you go. Okay, good. Yes. So, and you know, if like I really, really, really hope that you feel like you got some value for spending your time with us. We really value your time and we appreciate it. And if you feel like you haven't gotten something yet, ask a question and let us answer it in a way that will provide you value. And that 15-minute call with Nick or Mark or me, that could be a life-changing call.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've met people on those calls, John, that
Yeah.
never thought about getting media coverage. They
Yeah.
thought you needed $20,000 a month to do a PR firm,
Yeah.
and you
You
don't.
don't.
And
You
they
know,
thought
Mark, I wonder, I know we're up against time, but if people got to go, can I tell my someday story?
Absolutely. We got 2 minutes, John. What shirt are you wearing?
I am wearing my today shirt. And so here's the story behind that. And if you got to go, you got to go. I'm going to make it as fast as I can. But this is a life altering story. So it's 2012 and I'm sitting with a friend of mine and we're talking and I'm telling him about how I want to grow my business and I want to do this, I want to do all that other stuff and all these things and these, dreams I have. And he says, well, okay, that's all cool, John, but I think that what you really need to do is marry this girl that you're dating that you told me about. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask her to marry me, pretty soon. We're going to go to Peru with her parents pretty soon. And then maybe I'll take her to Hawaii. I don't know, but I got a plan. I'm going to do it, and he goes, dude, you are living a someday life. And I was like, okay, I know what that means. I'm thinking, I know what I'm not living a someday life. I'm doing what's important. And I say, dude, no, I'm not. And he goes, oh, you are, John. What you don't know is that when I was 22, my twin brother and I went to visit my dad. And on our way there, we decided we would get a haircut. So we called him. We said, hey, Dad, we're going to be in your neighborhood. We're going to be getting haircuts. Then we're going to come over and visit you. And by the time we got there, he was dead. And he was in his mid 50s when he died. And my mom left when we were little, when we were 3, and we never saw her again ever. And my dad drove a black taxi in London 24/7 so he could send us to good schools, help us get into college, and give us a great life. And we were not the kind of family that hugged a lot or said, I love you. And I thought I'd get another chance to do that, and I didn't. And you're living like that couldn't happen to you. And I was like, oh, damn. And so I went home that night and I laid in bed and waited for Sharon to come home, the girl I had been dating. And when she came home, I sat up and I looked at her and I said, babe, given that it's 2012 and, the Mayan apocalypse and everything, I would really hate to miss my opportunity to ask you to marry me. Will you marry me? And she said yes, and the rest is history. I didn't have a ring. I didn't have a plan beyond it, but I just knew I didn't want to miss my opportunity. And you wouldn't be here if you didn't have something to offer the world. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want more visibility and more attention for your message because of the difference that message makes. And I've lived the experience. So, and I'm really, really glad I did that. And so I want to challenge you, do you have your someday shirt on or do you have your today shirt on? And, I just encourage you to make sure you have your today shirt on and whatever it is that you need to do to get that message out, to get your voice heard, to be recognized for your expertise. Go do that. Don't wait, right? Don't wait. Do it today.
Thank you, everyone. We hope to talk to you. Put on your Today shirt. We'll see you soon. Have a great night. Thank you. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.